Sequels are the lifeblood that keeps Hollywood afloat during even the toughest of times, and so it's little surprise that studios like to get a follow-up to a successful movie into production as soon as possible in order to capitalise on that initial fanfare. But sometimes, for one of many reasons, said sequel ends up languishing in development, even development hell, for many years, enough that fans might even give up hope of them ever actually coming to fruition. So with that being said, I'm Jem from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 more movie sequels that are finally happening. Number 10, Now You See Me 3. Though calling the second Now You See Me movie Now You Don't might have been an epic missed opportunity, the bigger one wasn't producing a third film in a timely fashion. After all, in 2016's Now You See Me 2, a tidy $334.9 million was grossed worldwide, against a $120 million budget, and yet progress on a potential threequel has proven sluggish in the years since. The director and screenwriter were confirmed in late 2022, after which word on the film went radio silent for an entire 18 months. But in a recent interview with Collider, franchise star Jesse Eisenberg revealed that the script was complete, he'd read it, and he'd expected the sequel to begin shooting in the next 6 months. Going by the production cycle of the first 2 films, it's reasonable to assume that if Now You See Me 3 wraps up before the end of 2024, it'll release in late 2025 or early 2026. Whether audiences will still care about this unexpected franchise almost an entire decade after the last movie, though, remains to be seen. Number 9, Zootopia 2. Disney's Zootopia was a colossal hit back in 2016, scoring not only high critical acclaim but grossing over $1 billion worldwide, enough that a sequel seemed damn near guaranteed. And yet, despite early rumblings about Zootopia 2, the Mouse House was oddly shy about officially confirming the sequel in the years that followed, focusing instead on producing the Disney Plus anthology series Zootopia Plus. It wasn't until early 2023 that Disney formally confirmed that Zootopia 2 was indeed in the works, with Jared Bush and Josie Trinidad, who co-wrote the original film script and conceived the story respectively, signed to co-direct. Another year passed without any meaningful updates, but this past February, Disney finally revealed that the project was deep into production, confirming it to be imaginatively titled Zootopia 2 and set for a November 26, 2025 release. Hopefully, those involved have spent the near decade it's taken to bring this sequel to the screen working on a worthy follow-up to one of the greatest animated films of the 21st century. Number 8, Scream 7. As totally ridiculous as it sounds to say that Scream 7 is finally happening when Scream 6 barely came out a year ago, context is key. Though Paramount was reportedly keen to get the slasher sequel shooting before the end of 2023 in order to accommodate Jenna Ortega's increasingly busy schedule, that plan was scuppered by both industry strike action and the sudden firing of star Melissa Barrera last November after she made a pro-Palestine post on social media. Ortega departed Scream 7 the very next day, citing scheduling conflicts and pay disputes, and before the end of the year, director Christopher Landon had also made his exit. It seemed like Scream 7 was basically put on ice for the foreseeable, but in early March, original star Neve Campbell confirmed that she was returning for the 7th movie, with franchise writer Kevin Williamson now set to direct. It's reasonable to assume that shooting will take place before the year's out, with the film releasing sometime in 25, which, while a year later than Paramount originally intended, is still a pretty tidy turnaround for such an embattled project. Whether fans will turn up for it in droves without its 2 new leads, though, is anyone's guess. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and while you're there, drop us a cheeky like, share, and subscribe too. Number 7, Freaky Friday 2. Over 20 years later, there's still a lot of love for the Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis starring Freaky Friday remake, and though it categorically seemed like a one-and-done affair, in late 2022, Curtis revealed that she'd pitched a sequel to Disney which would reunite her with Lohan. The pair continued to talk up the potential sequel well into 2023, though given that it hadn't formally confirmed in any way, it felt more like the pair drumming up business for themselves rather than discussing a sure thing. And honestly, who can blame them? But by May 2023, Disney itself confirmed that Freaky Friday 2 was happening, with newcomer Elise Hollander having already penned a draft of the script. The most recent update came at the start of March when Lohan reiterated that the film was happening, even if there's no official time frame yet for when shooting could start. Given the nostalgia for the original movie, Curtis's recent Oscar win, and Lohan's career enjoying something of a resurgence, this certainly seems like the perfect time to get that ball rolling. Number 6, Nobody 2. Nobody was one of 2021's most pleasantly surprising movies, fully delivering on the promises of taking Breaking Bad star Bob Odenkirk and giving him his own John Wick-esque action thriller vehicle. Even while releasing in a tricky period of the pandemic, Nobody still grossed a respectable $57.5 million against a $16 million budget. Enough that discussions about a sequel quickly ramped up. By June 2021, the writer had begun penning Nobody 2's script despite not having an official studio greenlight yet. By summer 22, producer David Leitch confirmed that they had committed to producing the sequel. Even so, despite production being expected to begin in 2023, little headway was made last year, likely in large part due to industry strike action. However, in early March, Leitch finally provided a welcome update that Nobody 2 is set to start filming before the end of this year. Producer Kelly McCormick additionally revealed that the primary reason for the delays was accommodating the schedules of the cast, most likely Odenkirk and Connie Nielsen, but if filming does indeed begin by year's end, a late 2025 or early 2026 release seems fairly likely. Number 5, Moana 2. Moana may not have been one of Disney's biggest hits, but it still grossed almost $700 million worldwide back in 2016, and following the launch of Disney Plus, enjoyed a major resurgence in popularity, enough that it became the most streamed movie across all platforms in 2023. And so, back in February, Disney revealed that a previously announced Disney Plus Moana series had been transformed into a theatrical sequel, with original stars reprising their vocals. And yes, I'm talking The Rock. In a more surprising move, Disney also confirmed that Moana 2 would release before year's end, dropping on the 27th of November, less than 10 months after the announcement was made. Given that Disney tends to stake out release dates for their movies many years in advance, this was quite the shocking news. And while there's understandable skepticism about an embattled Disney converting a TV show into a feature film in the middle of production, a movie sequel makes so much more business sense than a streaming show. Number 4, Bridget Jones 4. The third entry into the Bridget Jones franchise, Bridget Jones's Baby, was a rather pleasant surprise when it belatedly released in 2016, 12 years after what some call a disappointing second film, Bridget Jones: Edge of Reason. In addition to scoring positive reviews, the threequel grossed an impressive $212 million against a $35 million budget, confirming the IP's continued popularity. A trilogy seemed to be all she wrote for Bridget on the big screen though, until in 2022, franchise author Helen Fielding revealed that a fourth film was in the works, which would adapt her best-selling 2013 novel, Bridget Jones: Mad About the Boy. The Independent recently reported that the movie was quietly already in pre-production and is scheduled to begin filming in May, even though neither a writer nor director have yet been officially announced. All the same, if the scheduling holds firm, we can expect to see Bridget Jones 4 in cinemas next year, and considering how well the last film did despite a massive gap between sequels, there's no reason to doubt the fourth movie's ability to repeat that success. Number 3, Bullet 2. I mean, there's time between sequels, and then there's time between sequels. Bullet 2, a most unexpected follow-up to 1968's classic Steve McQueen starring action thriller Bullet. In February 2022, Steven Spielberg announced that he will direct a new film centered around protagonist L.T. Frank Bullet, with Oscar-winning screenwriter Josh Singer hired to pen the script. Later that year, Bradley Cooper was confirmed to be taking over the title role from the late great McQueen, and while in other hands there would have been an understandable skepticism around an almost 60 years later sequel to a genre classic, the Spielberg-Singer-Cooper combo makes it easy to have faith. There's no firm date set for production yet, with Spielberg and Cooper currently having many projects apiece in active development, but given the commercial potential of an adrenalized Spielberg-directed action thriller, Warner Bros. Will likely be keen to get it before cameras as soon as possible. Number 2, The Accountant 2. 2016's Ben Affleck starred starring action thriller The Accountant received wildly mixed reviews from critics, but still ended up grossing an impressive $155.2 million worldwide on a mere $44 million budget. A sequel was confirmed to be in development by 2017, but the process of actually getting it in front of cameras stalled over the years that followed, with various versions of the script being hashed out. Though it seemed like this thing was just never going to come to fruition, at the start of the year, Accountant 2 was unexpectedly confirmed to be in pre-production, and by March, Affleck & Co was set to return, with Gavin O'Connor also signed to direct once again. Filming is reportedly due to start immediately, and so it's reasonable to expect that The Accountant 2 will wrap up principal photography over the summer and land in cinemas sometime next year, almost an entire decade after the original's release. Still, considering most fans of the original had long since given up hope of a sequel ever actually materializing, this is great news. And number 1, Night Has Fallen. The Has Fallen action thriller franchise has been a quiet little cash cow for Gerald Butler, with the 3 movies released to date, Olympus Has Fallen, London Has Fallen, and Angel Has Fallen, collectively grossing over $520 million worldwide, against a sensibly contained total budget of $170 million. This trilogy once again confirmed the profitability of the responsibly budgeted dad movie, and so it was little surprise that shortly after Angel's release in 2019, producers confirmed plans for 3 more movies. By November 2020, the 4th film was revealed to be titled Night Has Fallen, but development was put indefinitely on ice in 2021 when Butler filed a lawsuit against production companies Millennium Media and New Image, alleging that he was owed more than $10 million in profits from the franchise. As the lawsuit played out, development on the sequel hung in limbo, but last October the matter was finally resolved, after which producers confirmed that production was expected to begin sometime in 2024. If Night Has Fallen shoots later in the year for a 2025 release, it'll arrive an entire 6 years after the last film. Though, given that Butler has carved out a warm niche for himself in the junky action thriller market, one suspects audiences will still be there for it.